There we are.
Oh my gosh, we're live.
And just like that, it's 2024.
That's
Do that
right.
again. Maybe it'll be 2025.
Yeah. No, it will be like that. Before you know it, we'll be in 2027.
I'm gonna blink slower this year. That's my plan.
That's right.
Blink twice and it's 2025. So it's gonna be one.
Yeah.
That's just called falling asleep. Which hopefully nobody will do during this show.
I took a nap. Now it's 2030. Wow.
Rip Van Winkle.
That's right.
That's what we should have called this episode. All right, put that over there. Get the show notes up. Make sure I'm recording. Hit the recorder.
All right. I got
Recording, yeah.
there's 2 titles in there. I'll let you choose which one you want.
2 titles.
Yeah. Go with the first one.
No, leave it there. Leave it there. I got an idea. Leave it there.
Okay.
Leave
All
it
right.
there. Okay. Ready?
Yeah. Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go. Technorama episode 731 for January 3rd, 2023. Wait, what episode is this? 731. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rents due, or like the old Bullwinkle show, or brought to you by Steamboat Willie. Hey, welcome to Technorama. It's a new year, and we are happy to be here. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. And if you're new to the show, welcome. It's 2024.
I know. It's amazing.
We've been around for almost 19 years. Although,
yes, that's
we
one
like
of the things I'm looking forward to this year.
we like to think the show has gotten a little bit better over the years. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Hey, did you stay up till midnight?
Yes, but not voluntarily.
Not voluntarily.
No, we were celebrating with some friends, and at 10 o'clock we watched the ball drop in New York. So we came home after that and just did a few chores, like put the dishes away and whatnot. And I looked at my watch and I went, it's 11:45.
Yeah.
And in this neighborhood being Phoenix,
Right.
we have a lot of people that like to light off fireworks and shoot their guns. It was
Oh yeah.
so prolific. Craig, this was the worst year ever. It wasn't just like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
But it sounded like an aquarium the way that the audio was bouncing around. It was like bam, 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 bam. Look out the window and you could see flashes of light, like a lightning storm. It was so bright and so close. Whatever it was, everybody was doing it. And I went, really? I
Yeah.
started to get nervous because you've got all these weekend possibly intoxicated celebrators that are lighting off
Yeah.
fireworks going in every which direction. I was literally afraid that my house was gonna burn down by some jackwagon a block over. You know, it just
Oh yeah.
it ma no, I wasn't outside, so I wasn't too concerned about people shooting their guns in the air, which I'm sure there were, and maybe I'm
Wait.
being the grouchy old man, but is this the best way we can celebrate the new year is by lighting off a bunch of dangerous
know.
fireworks while intoxicated?
Well, there's always the question about my dogs. One of my dogs
Yeah.
cannot stand gunfire in the distance, or much less any fireworks that you can hear. And so she was okay last night because Kim had gone to bed early, has a fan going in the room, so there's some white noise. But I know that she was upset because you could hear those fireworks. I went outside and I watched my neighbors. There it was like a bunch of stuff going off, just like you said. And then I saw a story. Speaking of, I thought the same thing that you said. I was thinking, how many bottle rockets I'm going to find sitting on top of my car, that
Yep.
just went somewhere. But to your point, in was it Wilmington? One of the beaches on North Carolina, some sand dunes, the dunes got on fire, because of the not, not
Okay,
yeah.
the sand caught on fire,
No,
right?
no, no,
There tell you
no, no.
something's wrong.
No, there's, they got it's
Yeah,
got
the
foliage
grass.
on it, whatever it is, but yeah, that caught on fire. So people were shooting them off on the beach, and I guess
Idiots.
one went wayward, and yeah. So
I so wanted to just grab like a brick of firecrackers and head out at 7 AM this morning and light them off. Take
Mark
that, you
mark the
idiot.
houses. I mean, I like fireworks until I don't now, not so much as
Hey,
I
you
used
can't
to.
have done it like not you're right. A lot of people were I was watching nextdoor.com and a lot of people were saying, "This terrifies my pets."
Yeah,
Todd
yeah.
wasn't too bad, and I put on the, Bluetooth sleep band and nodded off to sleep about 15 minutes after midnight, so it
Yeah.
didn't really bother me, but I was losing sleep more of the nervousness of a fire hazard. That's what
Well,
bo
to my neighbors, I'm not sure who was firing them off, but I think it was like just the street over. To their credit, it got quiet after that initial, blast at midnight. So I was fine with that. I'm okay, but same time, I'm like, really, do we have to do all this?
Tell you
I
what,
bet.
next year, New Year's Eve, we'll go up to your mountain house. It'll be nice and quiet, away from everybody.
Well, you might still hear some up there. We've been up there.
It's nothing like the din we had last night.
No, Lake Lure, which we took you there on the backside of our the mountain at our house. Um, they shoot off fireworks, and when we were at home last year at the mountain house, you could
Yeah.
hear them in the distance, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah, so yeah, and there's nobody over there shooting fireworks off in my house, so better not. There's a lot of leaves and stuff there.
Grouchy old man. What are you supposed to do? Shoot at these people? You'd never hear them. If you wanted to get away with a shooting spree, that was your time.
Yeah, right.
No one would even know.
No, that's what. Well, when you said shooting guns, I was thinking, oh, this is the time everybody's getting rid of their family members they didn't want.
It's like when you're driving past the dump, that's the time to let one rip.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Right. I gotta, my cat's doing something over here. I don't know what.
Okay, well, happy New Year, cat.
Yeah.
All right, we have some feedback from our last episode. Let me bring
Yes, we
that
do.
up while we play
Yeah.
the music.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Every day?
Mailman,
Except for today, it's a holiday.
we try to pull it out. Those letters. I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy!
Mailman, mail today.
Our question of the week last week was what
Yes.
treasures that we know 100% actually existed still have not been found?
Hmm.
Sweet Steve London writes in with a typical very long answer. He says, define treasure. Good answer. Define treasure. One man's garbage might be another man's treasure. I have a treasure somewhere in deep storage at my parents'. 2 unopened Magic the Gathering starter decks from 93 or 94.
Wow.
He said he got them in early 94 and never started to play. They may yet to be found or lost to legend, or no one will ever know.
Well, it's too bad because you could play with my son. He plays Magic a good bit.
Do you have anything like that that you felt was very valuable in your childhood and you wish you knew where it was today?
Yes, actually, I do.
I misspent youth.
Well, I don't know about valuable, but I can tell you it was worth something to me, and I don't know what happened. Was I had a storage room
Yeah.
in my 20s, and this is before cell phones were prevalent, and so I just missed the bill or a call to let me know I needed to pay my bill, and I just let it slide. And they took the storage room, and it had all my Star Wars stuff from when I was a kid. And I'm thinking, one, it had a box full of all the original trading cards that you could buy. It had gum in it, in the little packs.
Yep.
They were all open, of course, but I had the blue, some of the green, and different sets, and I had all those. Hoth set, all my action figures.
God.
It's gone. My own fault. It's my own fault.
I think it was my 9th or 10th birthday. My maternal grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa Dick, gave me a 1929 silver dollar. Now, it was turned into a keychain. So there was is either a band around it or they drill a hole in the top and put a keychain,
Right.
little chain with the D
Break
ring.
the law. Commit a felony, cutting into
I thought that was so cool, and I think I entrusted my dad to hang on to it, and I don't know where it ever went. He didn't have it later. Um, and I just looked. I said the current value of as of December 2023, a Walking Liberty half dollar from 1929 in circulated condition is worth between $11.75 and $515.
Whoa.
I'll go for one of the cheaper ones, drill a hole in it and put a keychain on it if I
Right.
want to replace that. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was a nice little keepsake that he gave me that
Mhm.
I wish I knew where it was.
Yeah, I've got a coin. I think it's I gotta go look at it again. It's a coin like that that was my grandfather's. I have it. It was given to me.
I have a quarter from
Think
1941, I believe it was. It's pretty worn smooth. It looks like
it's
it's been
a
around.
shank.
It's a slug. Yeah.
Yes, slug. Now the one from my grandfather, actually it's in great shape and it's in a case. You open it up and it's like it's in a nice little case. I'll have to show you a picture
That's
sometime.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. What else did we have on here?
All
Thank you,
right,
Steve.
Stephen Wishy says, whatever they've been looking for in the History Channel TV show, The Curse of the Oak Island. Is that the one where they're digging for the treasure?
I see commercials for that, but I am not going to get suckered into that show because they're never going to find what they're looking for.
That's what it is, isn't it? They said it's pirate,
Yeah.
and they were digging a tunnel, and they had supports and all kinds of. I'm like, is that show still going on?
The Curse of Monkey Island. I don't know. I didn't
Oak
watch.
Island, not Monkey Island. That's
I
a
know.
video game.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm calling it Monkey Island because that's about all you're going to get out of this.
Yeah.
Eric Miller says the Colossus of Rhodes. That's one of the ancient 7 wonders of the ancient world.
Hmm.
Library of Alexandria, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Colossus of Rhodes.
Yeah.
I thought that was lost and destroyed, but he's saying it's lost and we know existed and never found.
We need
I
to
guess
get
they haven't found
Indiana
it.
Jones on that.
No, we're done with the Indiana Jones series.
He's retired. Dang it.
It is. Let's see. Mike Robinson says, depending on your definition of the words know and found, we're not talking about the biblical know here. He says the Ark of the Covenant, the Egyptian complex in the Grand Canyon, intelligent life. Yeah, we haven't found intelligent life.
No.
Intelligent life not from Earth. Convenience store coffee fit for human consumption. It's a myth. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Engines that run on water? Nope. The real reason Firefly was canceled? These are good.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere.
What happened to all the bodies of the giants they shipped to the Smithsonian? Where did the giants come from?
I like John Kratzer's comment. He said common sense.
Right.
I'd argue that was out
exists, but it hasn't been found.
I'd argue that's been gone a long time ago.
Speaking of Mike, he says howdies.
Hey, Mike.
All right, I've got a couple of comments over on my share. I shared this. Let's see what we have. View comments. Mike Stockman says Santa's Workshop.
Right.
We know that exists. Eric Miller also wrote in mind Great Library of Alexandria.
Yeah,
that
you were just
burned.
mentioning it.
I don't think we're going to find that. It burned.
Yeah.
Jack Mankin says the One Ring. We know what happened to that. It got thrown back into Mount Doom.
Yeah, back in the Middle Ages.
No, you got the third age of Middle Earth mixed up there a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Weber Baker says the tomb of Alexander the Great. Oh, he's buried in Grant's tomb. That's easy enough. Lone Guy's Knight says the Jerusalem temple treasures as listed in the Copper Scroll found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yeah, I'm really curious to know what's under the Temple Mount. If there's anything left of King Solomon's temple.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. But, you're not exactly about to go digging there, especially right now.
No.
And my cousin John said the treasures of the Copper Scroll. So, some fascination in that.
Yeah. Well, that's some good answers right here.
Yeah. Good question. We'll have another one for you at the end of the show, so stick around. I don't even know what it is. I read it earlier. History time.
All right.
Since we're talking about things lost to history.
Yeah.
It was this is on this day in history for January 3rd. Oh my gosh, it's January 3rd already.
Yeah.
For 2024. It's the third day of the year, in case you can't figure out the Gregorian calendar by now, which means there are 363 days remaining in the year because this is a leap year.
Yeah, get your Christmas shopping in early.
Get your pogo stick out. It's a leap year. Or would that be a bouncer?
Boing, boing, boing.
It was on this date in 1749 that the first issue of Berlingske, Denmark's oldest continually operating newspaper, was published.
And in 2000 something, they closed it down.
COVID.
Internet. It was 154 years ago today that the construction work began on the Brooklyn Bridge in New York.
I sold
United
that to
States.
so many people. No, somebody sold it to me. How'd that go?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We all bought one.
January 3rd, 1957, the Hamilton Watch Company introduced the first electric watch in 1957.
You couldn't go too far.
No,
Yeah,
it had an
they didn't have
extension cord. And you had to remember to flip the switch between UK power and
Yeah,
US power.
that's right. It was also on this date in 1977 that Apple Computer was incorporated. How about that?
The Mars Polar Lander was launched by NASA on this date in 1999.
And 15 years ago, the first block of the blockchain of the decentralized payment system, Bitcoin, called the Genesis block, was established by the creator of the system, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Captain Kirk, give me the Genesis block.
Did you pass the Nakamoto?
The Kobayashi Maru, is that what you're going for?
Kobayashi Nakamoto.
That was the runner-up version.
Yeah.
The predecessor of the Kobayashi Maru was the Satoshi Nakamoto.
Then Satoshi Nakamoto was Space Invaders. Boop, 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 boop.
Starfleet Command. This is the Nakamoto.
Yeah, there was no Klingons.
January 3rd, 2019, Chang'e 4 made the first soft landing on the far side of the moon. They found a Pink Floyd album.
Yeah,
No, that was the Dark Side.
amazing.
No, what they really did is deployed the U-22. That's YUTU-2. U-22 land lunar rover.
Yeah,
It's different than
they didn't run it by the marketing department.
Happy birthday goes on this day to French geographer, ethnologist, linguist, and astronomer Antoine Thomas Dabadie. I hope that's close. He was born on this date in 1810.
And Charles Piazzi Smith, Italian-Scottish astronomer and academic, was born on that same date in 1819.
English writer, poet, and philologist J.R.R. Tolkien was born on this date in 1892. There's two references to Lord of the Rings tonight. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, let's keep it going. American businessman, co-founder of the Intel Corporation, Gordon Moore, was born 95 years ago today.
He was later arrested for practicing without a law. Moore's Law.
Yeah.
American director, producer, and screenwriter, the man who created Battlestar Galactica, Glenn A. Larson, was born on this date in 1937.
And also on that same date in 1956, American Australian, actor, director, producer, and screenwriter Mel Gibson.
Mad Max was born today.
Yeah.
American actress and mathematician Danica McKellar is 49 today.
And last but not least, Swedish environmentalist activist Greta Thunberg is Thunberg. I know her name.
Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg was born on this date.
It's not Thunberg. It's Thunberg.
Thunberg.
Toon.
Whatever.
Toon. Say Toon.
Yeah, Thunberg.
That's what I said.
Connie Thunberg.
She's now 21.
Yeah.
This is a very precarious time in her life because she can go from, and this happens with child actors too. You go from popular child actor, but then they reach a certain age and they just become kind of like this grouchy adult that, nobody wants to listen to anymore. So she's got to be very careful how she proceeds these next few years.
Well, I would argue that I understand her points, but she's been, argumentative.
Well, she's been argumentative since she was like 10 years old.
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's her shtick. But
yeah,
it backfire if you run that horse too long.
Well, maybe.
Well, that was a mixed metaphor if there ever was one. Happy listener birthdays go out on the state too. January 3rd, Thomas Gideon from the Command Line podcast. Steve
Yeah.
Clarion from Canada is on the 6th. Elvis is on the 8th.
How about
And Lingo from the Britain Yankee Pubcast, or former, I don't know if he's still on there anymore, is on the 9th. That's the way it was on this day in history for January 3rd, 2024. We need to update our template because it said 2023.
Oh,
If you want to get on the birthday calendar, you can go over to chuckchat.com/birthday. Where's the title, Craig? Where's the title?
I'm trying to pull it up. Bam. There you go.
And we will give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year. Hang on, I got to mute my phone. There's a whole bunch of text messages coming in through my glasses. And they're really loud when you put the headphones
Is
on.
that the first time you've ever said that?
Yes. Well, not to this crowd, but yeah. That's the end. That's the way it was on this day in history for January 23rd, 2024. In case you missed it, Craig and I both got Amazon Echo Frames
Yes.
3rd generation.
Yes.
They were released on December 7th, so we pre-ordered them because there was a substantial discount.
Mhm.
And the lenses installed. Mine came in on the 26th or 27th. I think VisionWorks uses the same computer system as British Airways uses to track their lost luggage. So I got
Yeah.
this email on, what was it, like the 21st, the week before, said, hey, you've got 2 pair of glasses, because I ordered progressive lenses in my Echo frames, and then I ordered a pair of computer progressives and a set of standard black frames. And they said, one of your orders is in. Well, I was feeling pretty sickly
Right.
those few days before Christmas, so I wasn't going to get up, haul my tired, sick butt over to VisionWorks,
Walk in.
get one pair of glasses, and then come
Right.
back a few days later. I said, I'll wait for the second ones to come in. Your estimated arrival on the second pair is December 26th. Great, right after Christmas.
Yeah.
So the day before Christmas, the status changed to one has been completed. The other went from inspecting, which is right before it's time to pick it up. It went from inspecting to, what was it, like undefined. Like, what?
Divide by 0.
What just happened here? So I waited until the 26th, and I checked again, and then I called on the 27th. I said, what happened? It was a few days ago, it said it was almost ready to pick up,
Mhm.
and now it's like nowhere to be found. So the lady types in the computer, oh, it should be here in the next few days. But hang on.
What?
Like,
Jerking me around.
She walks over to the lady who took my order and did the fitting and whatnot. And she comes back to the phone. She goes, oh, they're in. I said, you have a bug in your software somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
So they were in. Apparently the computer system kind of freaked out on something and went, eh. So ladies and gentlemen, the message of the story is don't always believe everything you see online. Call, have
I
it
did.
verified, walk
Yeah.
into the luggage department and lay your hands on your luggage.
That's exactly what I did. I did that exact same thing. I called one day and they said, they should be here in another week. And I was like, well, that's a little bit further out than
What you predicted.
when I originally thought, but I thought I would just call and check. And then I waited a few days. I called again. Yeah, they're right here. It's like, okay, I'll be there in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So-
And they really are nice. I mean, if you're looking for high fidelity headphones, they're not. But they are
No.
nice because you don't have to put in earbuds. You've basically got a set of open ear Bluetooth headphones with you
Mhm.
all the time. So, podcasts or weather or whatever,
Yeah.
you can listen to them and then just tap the frame and they pause. I was just on a phone call. I did find out if what was it? We were talking or walking or listening to a podcast or something. I really put them through the paces to find out what the battery life is.
Yeah.
And it was about 6 or 7 hours. It
Yep.
was decent. It's not all day. Eventually it did, wear down and say, hey, you're down to 15%.
Mhm.
But for moderate use, they'll last all day. What I am
yeah.
finding is the 3rd generation now sits in a cradle, so they don't have a cable to attach to them.
Where you're going with this?
The cradle's kind of fussy.
It sucks. They did not use this. Somebody didn't use this or get some feedback before they put this this part out.
There's a little
'Cause I
drawing that says, stack them this way, so basically the lenses are facing the ceiling, not
Yes.
facing, vertically looking at
Right.
you,
Mhm.
which is clear, but you put it in there and it flashes red, like it's not installed properly. If you just tweak it a little bit, you can get it to go to amber, which means it's charging, and eventually it should turn green. So I
Yeah.
go to bed on amber setting, I wake up and it's red. And I like, "Oh, it only got 75% of the way done." What happened in the middle of the night? It's not like
Right.
I jostled
Well,
them.
last night okay, so, I don't have a good place to put that charger in my bedroom, so in my little office, I got it on my desk, I put the glasses on there, the little orange light came on, I went, "Alright, I'm going to bed." Came up here this morning, put them on, the battery was at 26%. I was like, "Okay, something didn't happen." They
Yeah.
weren't even green this morning, it was has still had the orange indicator.
Oh, it was still orange.
So
So
I was
imagine
like
red.
I don't think something happened when I put them on 26%. And I was like, they were in there like they were supposed to. I don't know.
I
There was
think what
no.
I'm going to do, Craig, is not charge them at night because they seem to something happens in the middle of the night. Rather than one big charge,
Mhm.
I'm going to put the charger by my desk because when I'm at my computer, I use the computer progressives, which I absolutely love. They
Okay.
are they are perfect for both the screen on the laptop near me
Mhm.
and the monitor, or 2 monitors in my case, that are further away. And I don't have to tilt my head and look around and, do that crazy thing like, "Where's the sweet
Okay.
spot on the" So, while I'm wearing those at the computer, I can be charging the Echo frames and keep an eye on them to make sure that they stay
Yeah.
sharp. So, I think that's what I'm gonna do is give them incremental charges during the day to keep them a little
That's
higher.
I may try that. Yeah. So I'll give that a shot. One thing I do like, I wear progressives also. They actually, since the lenses are bigger than I've had in the past,
Yeah.
I find it's a little easier to use find the progressive, the hot spots where you can, the target zones or whatever you want to call them. But I can use them on my laptop, but I got kind of a wide Samsung monitor. So
Yeah,
that's why the single vision was so much easier. I don't have to sit there and move my head around on
that
that.
makes sense.
Hey, I will say one other thing I really enjoy.
Mhm,
I know you said you weren't a big fan of them. The transitions, I got transitions this time.
mhm.
And so far it's really good. They get sufficiently dark. It doesn't look too bad from my point of view looking out. And by the time I'm in the house walking around, and I realize, oh, they've cleared up. So
Yeah.
I think they've made a generational leap with this last formula that they've done.
I found
And
them, and I know that they're getting faster at the transitions. I think I had some in 2004, 2005, something,
yeah,
and I was going between buildings in the winter, so, you walk outside and it's blindingly bright,
you
going,
oh, the
"Oh,
snow and all that.
please change," but by the time I went across the street to the other building, they're dark, and now I'm inside with dark glasses waiting for them to clear up. It was like
Yeah,
90 degrees out of phase on that thing.
I think it took about a minute or so to clear up.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad. And no, Generation 8, which came out just a couple years ago, is much better at doing the transition part. And not only that, but you can get them transitions with that are polarized, so it gets even darker, which they've never had before. I didn't
Nice.
do all that, but I was worried if I got polarized transitions and I really liked them, and I turned my phone sideways to take a picture, and the screen. You know how you ever have polarized sunglasses on and you
Yes,
turn your
yes.
phone and it goes dark?
Yep.
I didn't want that to happen, so I didn't.
Should we get into the news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Random
Top
button.
secret news,
I
everyone.
don't know if I call it top secret, but
Bad
story.
news, everyone.
I did
I
not.
did that.
Thanks. Okay, I didn't hit the second button. 2 stories from Forbes about space
Yes.
that we should keep an eye out for in this next year. First one is Artemis 2. So they have selected 4 astronauts that will be going to the moon, not landing on the moon, but going around the moon and coming back in 2024. And the other one is a note about how the risk of space junk is becoming greater and greater with every year. We're sending up more
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
and collisions. If you watched the movie Gravity, you kind of know that junk begets more junk.
Well,
And
Didn't SpaceX do pretty much a record year for them? So imagine I mean, they're sending stuff up all the time. You know,
Yeah.
not just that, but there's all kinds of stuff up there.
So they're saying, well, the worst case scenario is quite bad, meaning everything starts running into everything else, causing more shrapnel to blow up other things. I said, it probably won't happen this year. That's because orbit is still quite a vast area. Plus, the bulk of satellites are actually in low Earth orbits where even if it were a cascade of collisions, much of the debris would re-enter the atmosphere and burn up relatively soon. So, yeah, we got. If you get too much of that stuff flying around, you can't launch anything new because it's just going to go up and get.
Yeah, yeah. What was that? It was at a planetarium a few years ago. I mean, I knew about the problem, but visualizing it on the big screen, they were talking about ways they were looking at removing space junk,
Yeah.
and it's like you can tell there's going to be a point when there's so much stuff out there, satellites, that maybe they haven't decommissioned. I just have that feeling like there's going to be like a tiny window that's moving around the Earth. That's where they can get a rocket out. I don't know.
Yeah, and even if they were to put something in let's say there's an international law that says, oh, you have to have a self-destruct that launches it back into the atmosphere at the end of its life cycle. So
Right.
you put a little can of propellant that says, okay, time to descend.
Yeah.
If they put that into a law now, you've got years before the first spaceships get to space with that.
Yeah.
That means everything that's been launched before is still a potential hazard.
Hmm.
It's
remember,
this cause at this point.
remember a few years ago, Russia destroyed a satellite.
The Chinese.
No, Russia destroyed a satellite intentionally. So that, and that was a cloud of material flying around.
Yeah, pretty sure it was the Chinese. They just went,
Mm.
okay, pew, there,
No,
it's
I
gone.
think it was the Russians.
Someone can fact check us. Nobody ever claimed this podcast was fact checked.
No.
That always cracks me
Hey,
up when I'm listening to NPR shortwave and they always add at the end, this podcast was fact checked by so and so. Like, hey, that's a good idea.
Hey, after 19 years of not doing it before, we're gonna start now. So
We don't have the budget.
right.
We also have another space story from NASA. This one comes to us from foxweather.com. Remember the spacecraft that went out to Bennu and brought us back the satellite
Yes.
soil sample just
Yep.
recently, dropped it off in September? Well, the satellite is still out there, so they're repurposing it. So OSIRIS-REx is going to be renamed OSIRIS-APEX, and the Apex is for Apophis Explorer, because you see there's an asteroid coming by
Hmm.
called Apophis, named
That's right.
after the Greek god of chaos.
Yes.
So it's going to, and in 2029, it's going to come within 20,000 miles of Earth. So it's going to stop by and go, hey, Apophis, what's happening?
Yeah.
And if it's close enough and it's made of the material they think it is, the Earth's gravity is going to tug at it a little bit and it will do some shedding of material. So OSIRIS-APEX will be right there to analyze what's going on.
Well, this is also the asteroid that I've seen, um, endless talks about. That one that if it threads a certain keyhole
Yeah.
center around Earth,
Yep.
it's going to tug it enough where when it comes back around, it's going to hit Earth.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen because we already passed the keyhole event. It didn't happen. And it only comes around once every 7,500 years. So they said it's not going to affect us, at least in our lifetime.
our kids.
Not to worry. But we will learn something from it, which is kind of
Mhm.
cool. And they're repurposing OSIRIS-REx to be OSIRIS-APEX. So that's fun. I
Hmm.
like that. Ready for a Hacks and Strange story?
Yes.
Well, it turns out Star Trek was right about another thing. You can have a conversation with a humpback whale.
Yeah.
And I love how there's this thing called whale SETI. Now, that's not
Yes.
a pun. It's not CETI as in cetacean, okay, which is the family of whales.
Right.
It's SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. They're using the whale language to say, hey, there may be patterns here. There may be things we're looking for. So if we receive some of these patterns from an extraterrestrial intelligence, we'll have a better idea of how to decode it and maybe have a conversation.
Right.
So I thought, what if the aliens are looking for intelligent life and they don't go for the humans? They start talking to the whales. Now we've got Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Yep.
Probe comes to communicate with the whales, and humans are in the way because they just caused their own extinction. So there's a great article in here, talks about whale SETI, which just I can't stop thinking about SETI Alpha 5 and
Yeah.
Cetacean Institute and all that good stuff. But fun read through here and what they're looking for. It had Star Trek 4 written all over it for me.
I know.
There'd
It
be
sure
whales
did.
here.
What's that?
There'd be whales here.
Yeah. What was that? I was trying to find. I was actually trying to find the quote from. Damn it, your empathy only reaches. Oh, never mind. I was where she was given that guy a hard time about not worrying about how the whales feel when they were taken off. Remember?
I think they probably could short circuit this whole whale SETI project if they just sent Spock into the tank and swim with Gracie.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting. They were trying to talk with. They said they were having a conversation with it, but I don't think they really said.
They
what it-
kind of said what they were doing. They recorded some patterns that were basic whale greetings. So they lowered down the hydrophone and they played these. And well, what do you know? Bernard or whatever the whale's name was showed up and started making the appropriate responses. It's like if somebody says, "Hi, Craig, how are you?"
Yeah.
You would respond appropriately, going, "I'm fine." Sure wish I could speak whale.
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
give a shout out to the chat room.
Sure.
Hey, look, it's Stephen Weshy. He showed
There
up.
he is.
There
Hey, Happy New Year.
And we have Mike Robinson. I don't know if he's calling us Space Cowboys or talking about the space junk movies that we were talking about earlier before.
Oh, that's what they were doing, weren't Space Cowboys?
Space Cowboys. Yeah, he said, haven't they already made many movies about this? Yes.
Yes.
Space Cowboys. That'd be a good band name too. That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. We do this show live on Sunday nights at 8:30 Eastern time, but it's not Sunday when we're recording this because we had New Year's Eve celebrations happening. So we're recording this the first day of 2024.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Happy New Year. Wish you all the best. It's going to be a great year. You just keep telling yourself that. Maybe it'll come true.
Yeah.
He said, soon the internet will be broken by whales playing Candy Crush.
They're gonna get their fins over and start using little touch devices like cell phones.
No, they're going to have the electronic implants in their brains.
Oh, I see.
It worked for the monkey.
I'm still waiting. Well, we're getting closer. I got
Right.
the glasses that
At this point, I've had a lot of things put in me and a lot of things taken out of me. Starting to feel like
Are you kind of evening out? Are you walking sideways a little bit because of the weight distribution?
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
What else we got? We got thank you to our patrons. Let's thank the patrons too while we're here. So thank you very much to the following individuals. They contributed as little as $1 a show. People like Alexis Duran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris Martinez, Chris MC, Dan D. Mancoyer, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorga Shraw, and all these wonderful people like Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Kilfoyle, Brad Miller, Mike Wills, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, who just showed up and said hello, Steve Cody, Steve Therian, Steve Webb, Steve London, and Tim Cork. All of them have birthdays too. If you have a birthday, no, that was earlier. If you want to be one of these patrons mentioned on the show and get a special episode, Depending on your level of contribution, you'll also get a postcard and maybe a t-shirt if you get to that t-shirt level. We do that once a year. Look forward to adding you to the list. Go over to patreon.com/Technorama podcast and you'll have our undying love, at least until the next monthly payment. No, we'll just stop that. Okay. You forgot to put the banner up for that one again, too.
Oh, here you go.
Ding!
There you go. So
Patreon.com/Technorama podcast. I remembered it without having to read it this time. Getting better after 731 shows.
That's right.
Some of these people have been donating since the beginning. Oh, you know what that music means?
Oh, where's my remote? Oh, I guess it's under the couch. Oh, well.
You hope it's under the couch.
Yeah.
When in doubt, check the couch.
And you know the cats, you know they are. They'll push it off.
It's my poetry. All right. What have you it looks like I got more, so I'll go and we can interleave.
Yeah, you start first.
Okay. I watched a very good series on Netflix called Bodies.
Okay.
And at first I thought it was going to be like a true crime show or not, but no, it is a science fiction show with some back and forth time travel thing. Not time travel in a sense, but they're jumping between different timelines. 1890, 1941, 2023, and 2053 on this case where these people keep finding the same body in the same place. Like, hey, this guy showed up with this weird tattoo. He was naked and he was shot in the eye.
It reminds me of, sounds like Looper. Remember that with Bruce Willis?
It almost had this feeling of, if you remember the movie Predestination. Mike Menninger introduced us to that one. That was good. Right. Where the guy is basically his own father and mother. Mm-hmm. It was, so you could, that was the vibe that was going through my head for the first part of the movie. First, it's like an 8-part series. Then in the middle, I kind of lost that thought, and then it came back at the end, going, I see it now. So I thought it was very well done. The acting, and there weren't any, big names in this thing, but the acting was really well done. I highly recommend watching Bodies if you like a good sci-fi that happens in multiple timelines at the same time.
All right. Go ahead and give us another one since your list is bigger than mine.
This one's called Curry and Cyanide. Not a recipe I recommend. The subtitle is The Jolly Joseph Case, or Jolie Joseph Case. It's about a lady who basically becomes a serial killer in India. So most of it is in Hindi, I believe, with subtitles. There's a number of people who are speaking English, but I left the subtitles on the whole time.
Yep.
And they talk about this girl who met this man named Roy, who was part of this fairly well-to-do family, and she inserts herself in there with some lies and says, "Oh, I've got a degree from such and such, technical institute." And they go, "Oh, that's very impressive." But then when the mother-in-law starts pestering her with credentials like that, "You should really get a job. Why don't you have a job?" She says, "Well, I just want to be a housewife and take care of my husband." "You should really have a job." And the woman gets so fed up, she poisons her mother-in-law.
Oh no.
Oh, it goes for, that was 2002. Then there's another one in 2008 and another one in 2011. She eventually kills her husband. And then, sadly, there's like a 2-year-old girl that is caught in the line of fire. And she's basically killing these people with cyanide poisoning. But nobody, all of them, all 5 except for one, had no post-mortem. Only her husband was ruled death by cyanide. And she fed the story that, well, he died from suicide because he was way in debt, which he was in debt, but he wasn't suicidal. And she got away with it. And her sister-in-law, the Roy, her Jolly's husband, his sister, I can't remember her name. She was basically one of the main interviewees on this show. And towards the end, they said, "Why didn't you see the warning signs sooner? How did you let this get so far?" Because, do you ask your sister-in-law or wife or daughter-in-law, do you ask her for her credentials when she says, "Hey, I graduated from such and such"? No, nobody does that. His family's built on trust.
Right.
And she abused that trust to such a point where it just kind of went without saying.
Wow.
Now, the real question is, did she act alone? It is still an open court case in 2023.
Wow.
So they had
Should be closed by now.
so far she's been she's been convicted of murdering her husband with cyanide. Uh, but they weren't able. They exhumed many of the other bodies, but they weren't able to, uh, with any
Substantiate that.
degree of certainty, detect cyanide in what was left of bones from 20 years ago. That's
Yeah.
that's a tough one. So
Yeah.
I thought it was a fascinating story of just how far somebody could go without being detected in the modern era. I mean, you think about something like this happening in the 30s or 40s or 50s, like, yeah, this police department didn't talk to that federal
Yeah.
department and you can get away with it. But yeah, it was a sad, sad story, but
That's
fascinating.
terrible.
Yeah. Curry and cyanide.
All right. I watched the classic. I think it was Joe Fiore brought it up, I think. So I went, you know what, I'm gonna go watch that. I watched the Muppet Christmas Carol, which is great. Had Michael Caine in there as Scrooge. That's a classic. You know, what can I really say about it? I mean, I enjoyed it
I've
again.
seen that once many, many years ago. It was very good.
It came out in like 92. I think
Yeah.
that's when something like that. The reason I know is because when I started watching it, you know, they were this is Brian Henson actually directed it, and they had a mention of Jim Henson on. I went, wow, when was this done? Because I thought it was done earlier
Mhm.
before Jim Henson passed away, but apparently it was not. So
I also watched a Christmas special, one that
Mhm.
I had not seen. I've seen bits and pieces, but we watched it in two sittings. It was Bing Crosby's White Christmas from 1954 with Danny Kaye.
Right.
Uh, it was it was fun to watch from a nostalgia standpoint. I'd never seen it. There are obviously lots of musical numbers in there.
Mhm.
Uh, it was it was one of those good, clean, wholesome movies.
Oh, yeah.
uh, and I didn't really know what the storyline was. Like, where did they go and why did they do this and who's behind that? And but it was a fun watch. I could see that turning into a Christmas tradition.
Yeah.
It was only on until December 31st. A lot of content on Netflix had the tags, watch
Oh, yeah.
before December 31st. Like, oh,
Right. Yeah. Now, White Christmas is not this is, I mean, I've heard about it several times. I think I've seen it. I know I've seen it before, but um, several people have mentioned that as a good Christmas movie this year, which is unusual. I don't think I've heard a lot of people mention it before. So, of
yeah.
course,
The
we
cinematography was really good. In fact, the colors were so vibrant, you think it was a colorized movie. But you can
Mhm.
always tell colorized movies when you watch people's teeth because they'll still, have like
Yeah,
that gray, black
yeah,
and
yeah,
color in them. This
yeah.
was actually colored and very vibrant.
Okay. Um, yeah, we of course watched our regular Christmas stuff this year, which I didn't put him on my list. Everything from starting with planes, trains, and automobiles all the way through all the Christmas stuff.
Harry
You know,
Potter.
Christmas Vacation, yeah, Harry Potter, Christmas Vacation, all those kind of things. But so I didn't put those on my list. However, I did finish watching What If season 2, which is on Disney Plus. It's the multiverse version of what if Peggy Carter was Captain Carter and she had Captain America's kind of powers, as Captain Britain or as a British version of Captain America, and everything's kind of flipped upside down. It's really cool. I've seen the. I mentioned this the first time when we talked about season 1. Is I used to really enjoy the comic, What If, and they would turn characters on their ear, and it'd be a whole different concept. And they did a great job with season 2. I really enjoyed it, and there was some fight scenes that were just amazing. I was like, they did a really good job with this animation. So it was well worth it. And they released over 9 days. They released 9 episodes, one a day, and they just finished on New Year's Eve. So it's worth checking out. It's on Disney Plus.
Very cool. I watched another classic from 1975, Robert Redford film, The Great Waldo Pepper. I remember when this came out in the theaters, but I never actually watched it. This is another one where I knew roughly what it was about, but I'd never seen the whole thing end to end. So, hey, I was sick for a few days. I had a lot of time on my hands.
It looks like it.
In fact, I got some movies started or some series started that I just didn't finish. I said, I can't watch this. I'm too bored. It's not capturing my interest. And I had this list would probably be twice as long if I was talking about everything that I started.
Right. Yeah.
But The Great Waldo Pepper, a fun movie. It takes place in the 1920s. He's a barnstormer working his way across the country, but he's also a bit of a flim-flam man, making up stories and trying to make a buck just to outdo the other guy, or telling stories about when he was in World War I against the great flying ace Ernst. What was his name? Not Hinkle. I forget, but at the end he gets to meet his hero, and they have this kind of mock dog fight. But it's a fun movie. It does go on a little longer than I think it may need to, but if you're just looking for a great sit down, watch an old vintage flick, The Great Waldo Pepper, and Robert Redford was a good looking man back in his day.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Kim and I started watching Reacher season 2, which is still in flight, so we're not done with it yet. And they're still releasing episodes each Friday. But this one I really am liking, because somebody is targeting people that he served with, and they were military investigators, and somebody, like I said, they're trying to figure out who and why they're targeting people that in their group. And I like it because it introduces some people that are familiar with Jack Reacher on a personal level, rather than him just being a loner. Like, you saw the first season, didn't you?
I did, but I'm confusing it with another show. There were like 3 things we were watching that felt very similar.
Well, he's just been on his own, kind of traveling around. Now he's in a little different situation because he's with the people that he served with, and they know each other very well. So it's got a little more of a team kind of feel about it, when they're working together. So, but so far I'm really liking it. It's good, like the first season, even probably a little better. So, yeah,
cool. We'll keep an eye out for that.
And that's on Prime, by the way.
I did finally get around to watching Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice,
and
it was a bit drawn out. Like, they kept Wonder Woman in the wings way too long, in my opinion.
Right.
And did they? It either should have been Batman was trying to get the kryptonite to defeat Superman, because well, for the reasons that he was claiming, Superman is just going around being destructive. He's not beholden to anyone, and he's an alien, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Or it should have been who was the antagonist?
Lex.
Yeah, Lex Luthor's son, Alex, or whatever they're calling him in this one. It should have been one or the other. I wanted to hate Lex Luthor, but he seemed like a spoiled brat to me. He just didn't he didn't exude that evil villain complex. It was smart, but it's like, pick a lane. Who is really in charge here of taking down Superman?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're onto something, because there was really two. I would argue there was 2 villains, and you're following
until
each
the
story.
end when they had to team up.
Because well, I mean, I say there's 2 villains. Batman being one of them against Superman, because he's against Superman. He's wanting to get the kryptonite and do his thing, because he has his beliefs. And then you have Lex Luthor doing his thing. So, and like you said, it was spread out.
Yeah.
So there was too much going on, but it was all spread out at the same time.
There were also a couple of just like darn inconsistency things. Like, if we all know that if Superman gets near kryptonite, he basically loses his power. Yet somehow he's able to fly with this spear in order to kill what was the monster's name? Doom?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, somehow he was able to fly out of that, pool of water where Lois had thrown the spear. He dove down in the water, but he barely survived getting out of the pool. And somebody picks up this spear that's draining the life force from him, but he can fly pretty darn good
Mhm.
to stab Doom. Like, well,
Well, you could see he was struggling to do it. That's why he was really bearing down. I don't know.
yeah, it seemed like he mustered just a little more energy than was actually should have been there.
Now, if you take out the story and just for the visuals, I thought it was great. As
Oh,
far as the
yeah,
visuals go,
cinematically, it was wonderful.
the fight scene with Batman and Superman was really cool. Yeah, the whole thing was cool. But yeah, you're right. The story, I think, was the weak part. They should have focused on Lex or something like that, and then Superman trying to convince Batman to work with him. You know, which they kind of did that, but it was just like you said, it was spread out too much. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you mix in, well, there's other metahumans here too. Really? How many? Well, let me introduce you to Wonder Woman. I thought she was with you. No, I thought she was with you.
I did like that little scene.
Crappy way to introduce somebody.
I did like that little scene though. They were like, I thought she was with you. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought it was fun. But yeah. Um, speaking of Christmas movies, we we skipped Die Hard, went to watch Die Hard 2. I don't think Harrison had seen it before, and it takes place at Christmas. So yet again another Die Hard Christmas movie, and
Hey, if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, then so is Harry Potter.
yeah, I like Die Hard too. Not quite as much as I like the first Die Hard, but there is um, some pretty cool stuff because he's got his a little bit of a reputation now. Like, oh, John McClane again with this guy, and he's having to. He's not getting any support from the police, the military that's there, or anything, or even the airport security. So he's having to do this on his own. He's trying to save his wife that's circling the airport. So
In the
I thought it
snow.
was pretty good. Huh?
In the snow.
Yeah. So I like Die Hard too. Probably like you said, it's probably not quite as good as the first one, but yeah.
My last movie that I watched was actually just this afternoon. I watched Wonder Woman 1984. I
Yeah.
thought that was good. Yeah, it went a little over the top in some spots with the nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
Like how many different outfits he could wear and oh ha 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 parachute pants. Oh ha 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 fanny pack. Oh ha ha ha, who would
Yeah.
wear something like this? Uh, but I thought it was a fairly interesting storyline from the standpoint of there's this ancient artifact that was imbued with these properties to grant wishes, and oh my gosh, we've traced it through history, and it's preceded the downfall of many great civilizations.
Yep.
I thought the ending got a little over the top, um, with what's her name becoming the cheetah woman. Going, well,
Oh yeah.
again, who's the villain here? Is it her or is it Max Lord who keeps granting these wishes and taking more and more power? And if he got a freaking nosebleed from giving a pony to a kid or whatever it was on a minor thing,
Right.
you'd think he'd have an aneurysm, keel over, and die when he granted a whole bunch of missiles to the president. It just there was no scale to his ailments.
Right.
And it wasn't until later that he thought, "Oh, hey, I better start wishing, or taking return gifts on fixing my internal organs or whatever it is." It just,
Yeah.
Ellie, he was playing that too long, uh, and then magically at the end, she pulls a Captain Kirk and talks him out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't hate that movie. I thought it was
I didn't
alright.
hate it. It was all right.
Mhm.
Again, visually, it was fun, and it's always fun to see Chris Pine,
Yeah.
uh, in movies. But it was, I don't know. I'd probably give this one like a 7. It was decent, as far as
Okay.
superhero movies go.
Yeah. I did add one to my list. I forgot when you said you just watched one today. I went, Kim and I watched one last night. It's called The Holdovers. It's on Peacock,
Mhm.
and it has Paul Giamatti in it, and he's a teacher at a private school or like a boarding school,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's there through the holidays, and there's a handful of students that are also there through the holidays that are staying at the school. So he's kind of stuck in his ways, and of course, it's over the course of the few weeks of when they have Christmas vacation through the New Year, and I thought it was pretty good. The way the characters ended up working out their own issues, but interacting with each other. I thought it was a great
Yeah.
movie. It takes place in around 1970 because at the end it's Happy New Year 1971. So it was 1970, and the aesthetic they had in that movie was spot on because I was born in '69, so I'm familiar with the way things look around that time frame. You know,
Mhm.
I loved it. In the clothes, all that stuff, it did a good job. So uh, it's a little slow movie, but overall, I enjoyed the character interactions and the way they kind of worked on their own issues throughout this couple weeks, and the way things turned out. So it was a good movie. Yeah.
The Holdovers. All right.
Yep.
Good, good. We have one more quick story from the Geek Library. So we'll play the Greek Library.
The Greek library.
Greek Library.
You're on that Alexandria
I want the
library.
Greek salad, too.
Hey, now I put this in there because recently you and I have had a discussion about putting these Air tags or Samsung tags, tiles, whatever you want in your luggage, so you
Yeah.
can track them. So
Well, even
why-
closer to home is this lady was flying into the Charlotte airport or through the Charlotte airport, whatever. She was picking up luggage and it got stolen. So it wasn't just like missing baggage, it was stolen baggage.
right.
And she started tracking it because a week before or so, she was watching some influencer or something and said, "Hey, you should really get these." So she threw it in her bag.
Hmm.
And at first she couldn't track it. She said uh it was headed west from Charlotte
Hmm.
over to Gastonia, which
That's
is
right.
where we stopped for Five Guys Burgers a few
That's
weeks ago.
right. Hey, full disclosure, we did not have her luggage.
No, we were there. This just happened to her over like the Christmas holidays. So this
Yeah.
is a very new recent story.
Yeah.
Happened weeks after we went through. I did not steal her luggage. After what happened to me with British Airways losing my luggage, I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No.
So she eventually did track it down, and they were having some problems at first. So they came back later and said, "Oh, it's on this street in Gastonia." They found the person. They also found him with some other stolen luggage. Apparently, they had sold the clothing for money, but this person was eventually picked up on drug charges and is being held on $10,000 bail.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they found luggage and drugs there.
yeah, jackpot.
Hey,
Idiot.
well, and I can't remember if I think I told the story on the show, but my wife and my son went to New York, and I told my wife I put a Samsung tracker in her luggage,
Mhm.
and she gave me that look like, why would I need that? And I was like, just trust me in case something happens to your luggage. That's the only reason I put it in there. And obviously I told her about it, but so they get to New York. It's like, oh, did you get your luggage? No. Well, they're in New York. I pull up Samsung things and I see that their luggage is in Nashville, Tennessee. So
Yeah.
the she mentioned it to one of the representatives at the for the airline, and they were like, "I'm sorry, we can't really do anything for you." And then she said, well, my husband says it's in Nashville. Oh, he's got a tracker. Come with me." And they got it, and it went. I watched it go to Orlando. Then I watched it go to New York. Then I watched it go on the van around New York to their hotel.
Yep.
I knew when their luggage arrived, and it was kind of amazing to watch.
I wouldn't be surprised if these things start coming standard with all luggage. It's just a built-in feature because
Good. Yeah.
they're so common. My recommendation, however, is if you use one of these, The thieves are getting smarter. They look for them and toss them out. So what a couple of my suitcases have a lining. It's a hard shell, and then it's
Yeah.
got like a nylon liner with a zipper in it.
Yeah.
Put it inside between the hard shell and the lining, so they can't just
Yep.
like thumb through it and go, there it is, toss it out, and now your tracker is
Yeah, you're tracking the
surplus
street.
garbage can.
You're you're checking the street. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought of the same thing. We didn't do this last time we traveled, but well, what's funny is I'd put trackers in our luggage on this last trip we went, and I could see where we got on the ferry to go. Went to the Virgin Islands. We were in the British Virgin Islands. We go over to the St. John,
Mhm.
St. John's, to the U.S. version, and we were on the ferry, and I went, I don't think our luggage is on this ferry, and sure enough, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't in danger of getting lost. They were just going to put it on the next ferry, but I could watch it sit there on the dock for a while until they, loaded it up, and then I watched it go across the across the water. It was kind of neat. I knew when it showed up. What's even interesting is we were having dinner right there there's a beach area at the resort, and we were having dinner, and I pulled up my phone. I could see the tracker moving in the water, and then I could see the ferry pull up to the to the place. I went, oh, there's our luggage. Could see it across the water. It's cool.
Another recommendation is before you take a trip, check the batteries on those things. They are
Yeah.
CR2032s, and they don't last forever.
No.
So last thing you want is to have the confidence to go, yep, I've got a tracker in the bag, and then realize when you need it, it's not responding because the battery died 6 months ago when it was sitting in your garage.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, Mike corrected us. The evil monster was Zod/Doomsday.
I'm sorry. I realized that after
Yep. All right, that takes us to the end. We've got one more question of the week for you to consider this week. What are you looking forward to in the new year?
I'm looking forward to us hitting our 19 years.
I'm looking forward to another Star Trek cruise. I'm
Yep.
looking forward to another knowledge conference
Wait a
for
minute,
work.
did I say another 19 years? 19 years.
Yeah, I think you said reaching 19 years.
Yeah, reaching 19 years.
Reaching 19 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the cruise as well. I'm starting to get more excited. I haven't really felt too excited about it until after the new year. I
Right.
guess because it's only a couple months away.
Well, my phone came up and said 5 years ago you were on the Star Trek cruise with Clinton because they used to be at the beginning of January.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, well, that looks like fun. Can we do that now?
Yeah. Right.
So we're going to ask you again on social media, dear listener. What are you excited for in the new year? So be ready with your answer. But until then, we're going to play the music and get on out of here. If you want to get in touch with us, you can call us on the listener line at 707-530-2428. We have not heard from many of you in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Quite disappointing.
We've got to keep that phone number going. So you got to call it. Somebody's got to call it.
About once a month or so, I get this recurring task that says, check in to the Technorama voicemail to make sure it doesn't die on us. Or you can always email us, technorama@chuckchat.com, which many of you have. Thank you very much for the feedback, the comments, the suggestions on questions of the week, etc. So much appreciated. Many of them happen to be our patron people. So you don't have to be a patron to send us email, but it doesn't hurt.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you once again for listening. Thank you for all the help with the articles and whatnot, Craig. And be sure to tell a friend about Technorama and give us a binary high five.
All right. 101. Happy New Year.
And that is all. So we are going to sign off for our first show of the year. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we'll go record our Patreon show and get that out to you shortly.
That's right.
Take care.
Bye, y'all.
Safe. Bye.